Saturday morning. Welcome back in. Arizona Sports Preps 365. Every Saturday morning, 9 to 11. Craig Realu, Jim Greasehopper. We got James Mello, Kelly McCurdy on the other side of the glass, making sure we sound just as good as possible. Talking baseball here. And a good start to the season for Horizon. Longtime head coach of the Horizon Huskies baseball team, Eric Kibler, joining us here on Arizona Sports Preps 365. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. Real good. How are you?
Well, we're doing very well, and congratulations to you. Second year in a row, you win the Horizon High School National Invitational Tournament, beating Brophy on Thursday 8-3. You now have nearly as many wins as you did all of last season. Before we get into the season as a whole, just this tournament, knocking off Brophy, knocking off Harvard Westlake, one of the top teams in America. How much fun was this past week for you and your team?
That was a lot of fun. I mean, that's one of the reasons we play the tournament, is to have a lot of fun and invite people that we think are really competitive teams, both in Arizona and across the United States. So that's one of the reasons we do it, is have fun, but we try to find our identity a little bit and see where we're at. It's a good test to see where we're going down, if we're going down the path pretty good. And we did. We had a really good tournament. We played well. The kids played extremely well. So I'm really happy with them. I just want to make sure that rolls into April.
Yeah, you don't want to peak too soon. You mentioned trying to find your identity. Did you find something or learn more about your kids?
Yeah, we finally strung a bunch of games together that we played well in. Before, we were up and down prior to the tournament a little bit. So we'd play well one game and we wouldn't play well the next. So that was one thing we want to get accomplished. Can we put something together, which we did. So hopefully that continues.
Coach, you've been a National Coach of the Year. You've won numerous championships. And one thing that I always come back to with you is pitching. I mean, even this year, your team's hitting under 300 as a team, which, that can go up and down, especially early in the year. But you've always been about pitching, and you even have the pitching business where you teach kids pitching. And, here you are again, your team ERA is 1.60. What is it about your teams over the years where your pitching has always been so good?
Well, you have to put an emphasis on it when you think about the game of baseball. It's played kind of in that box between 60 feet, 6 inches. So we spend a lot of time on pitching, working with our pitchers mentally and physically and making sure they're ready to go when their time comes up. So it's a big emphasis in our practice on a daily basis. And so that's probably one of the reasons I think probably other coaches do, but we really do emphasize pitching, and it's worked out for us. We only gave up 6 runs in 5 games in the tournament against really good competition, and stopping Hamilton for 2 runs was, with the sophomore lefty Ian Sanga, was a pretty good feat. He pitched really well against a team that absolutely can crush the ball 1 through 9. So, but we emphasize it a lot. I mean, I'm down there with them all the time, so they're not alone. They probably want to be alone, but they're not alone.
No, and it really is something when you see it on that level, because usually it's offense that carries high school baseball teams. Usually it's, the Mountain Point team. We had Coach on last week, and they're out in North Carolina in that tournament this week. But just, the Cron and Curletta team, when they hit all those home runs. And I know the bats are, definitely the BB core and all that now. But it's amazing because you don't typically see great pitching winning out on the high school level, but the last couple of years, the last 5-6 years, it just seems to be headed in that direction where the pitching is so much better. Is it just something that's evolved, or, it's one of those things, because it's always been a high scoring sport on the high school level, but that's really been changing a lot.
I think it changed with the BB Corbats, first of all, and so once that changed, maybe people emphasize pitching and defense a little bit more, because we do pitch it well and play good defense. They're usually in games, and then you just try to manufacture enough runs to win. So I think people have gone back to maybe emphasizing pitching a little bit more, but the bats certainly have helped because it's really changed. I mean, the balls that have been hit, they just don't go out. I mean, if you square it up, it's going, but it's a lot fairer game, in my opinion. That's a little bit truer baseball than what it was before. But, I think maybe the training, kids are stronger and bigger, and I think they throw the ball harder than they probably ever have before. I think what you have to watch is injury and overuse. Pitching year-round's not a good idea. Some do, but I think it's evolved. Yeah, I think the pitching is better for the most part. Yeah.
Stay on that topic for me for a minute as we talk with Horizon head baseball coach Eric Kibler here on Arizona Sports Preps 365. You've been there a long time, great success, 2010 state championship. You mentioned the injuries and pitching. It's become, and I don't think this is a too strong of a word, but an epidemic, at least on the Major League Baseball front, specifically with the Diamondbacks, the dreaded word Tommy John surgery and Dr. James Andrews. Are you and your contemporaries on the high school scene, whether within the state or throughout the entire country, taking a different look, or is this something that maybe you'll put on the table to look at once the season ends as far as why is this happening? How do we correct it? Who's right? Who's wrong? There's been a number of theories out there as far as why certain kids or why certain players are having elbow and arm issues while others are not. But are we seeing this now trickle down to the high school level?
Oh, absolutely. I think a couple things. I think sometimes genetically a kid might be more prone to injury, and you might not even know that until it actually happens. You go in there with an MRI and you look at it. But the year-round pitching at a younger age, there's how many millions of tournaments are there with 8U, 9U, 10U? They're playing year-round, playing 140 games a year, and kids are on the mound at that age. But people don't realize that kid can chew up his arm at an age like that where he's not going to be the same. But the culture out there, everybody's panicked. If they don't do that, then their kid's not going to be some sort of major league pitcher. And I think when you go back east, you probably have healthier arms because they can't play so much year-round, and they need rest. But one of the things is I think you have to train a pitcher well, and some people do, some people don't. But I pride myself in really investigating the guys that really I feel know what they're doing from sports medical reasons and just get pitching guys that seem to really have a handle on how to do it. So I take pieces of that and try to put it together, and our arms have been pretty healthy. I think what we do is good. Our off-season training plan is really good. I know scouts sometimes don't like it, but, I don't want them to pitch, year-round like they want them to. And so we shut them down. And sometimes people don't like that, but it worked for Tim Alderson. It's worked for other guys where we had to shut them down, and people thought it was, you shouldn't shut them down. But, gosh, they're still growing. They need rest off the mound. So I think that's part of the reason is kids are injured early, or they're getting injured, still throwing through it, but it's starting to, some of the ligaments are starting to fray, but you wouldn't know that. It might be a little sore, but all of a sudden then it goes. So I think we have to be careful with the culture of baseball, especially for pitchers. I think we play too much. I really do. I think they should play other sports, to be honest with you, and take some time out, especially younger. And they emphasize way early being a baseball player, and they're kids. You should go play what they want to play, in my opinion.
I agree with you, Coach. Eric Kibler, Horizon, multiple-time state champ, USA Baseball National Coach of the Year, in good company with guys like Davey Johnson and Tom Lasorda, World Series champion managers. And you've got a kid this year in Trevor Horn, and just looking at his numbers, Coach, so many times over the years you see coaches ride that one horse, that stud pitcher. His ERA is almost at a half a run per game, but 96 batters faced, 40 strikeouts in 25 innings. Can you talk about the year he's having for you so far?
Yeah, Trevor's he is. He's starting to develop mentally and physically more. His command's a lot better than it was a year ago. Mentally, he's better than what he was a year ago. Still a lot to work on, and he knows it. To be going to ASU, that's a whole nother realm when you get there. But we're just trying to keep him healthy and keep him in the lineup and not overpitch him. But he's been a lot better. His command is what's been better. We like to attack hitters. We feel that we're going to get beat with the barrel of the bat. We don't want to get beat with putting guys on. So I give them a lot of freedom to, be hit. You know what I mean? They're going to have to hit to get on versus walking them. So they're not scared of me taking them out because, people are hitting them. They're probably more concerned if they start walking batters. But we do work on command and a lot. In what we do in practice and stuff. So, but he has really come on. He's a pretty good pitcher. I think he's got some pretty good upside, and I think, at ASU, they're just going to make him better.
Well, Coach, certainly a great start to the season for you. 14 wins in your first 17 games and winning for the second straight year, the Horizon High School National Invitational Tournament. Congratulations and best of luck the rest of the way.
Hey, thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
Hey, it's
Thank you, Coach.
Our pleasure. Horizon head baseball coach Eric Kibler here on Arizona Sports Preps 365. The last couple of years, Jim, for Horizon, Last year, 15-14. The year before, 16-13. So after a couple of down years, it appears that Horizon Baseball is back to the forefront. We mentioned they won the state championship in 2010, 2008, 2007. And Coach Kibler's been there for a long, long time. And good to see Horizon up on the forefront. We mentioned Mountain Point playing out in North Carolina. And now Horizon's getting the job done as well.
Yeah, and I did that game in 2010. I remember that. And I just, you leave conversations with coaches with different things. You know, every time I get to talk to a coach, I always try to take something from that coach because these guys are smart. Coach Kibler is one of those guys who's on a whole nother level. I could sit there and talk about baseball for hours with him, and literally it would be like a 4-year education at a college in baseball, talking to him for a few hours. He's forgotten more about the game than most baseball people know, and those kids are lucky to have had him over the years.